Hey y'all, DB here. Welcome on down to the Smoke Dungeon. Today we're talking Japanese submarines, in particularly the I-400 and War at Sea minis for Axis and Allies, Naval Miniatures, War at Sea. Here we have the stat card for the I-400 class submarine, which for those who don't know, was I believe they were the largest class of submarines in World War II. They were produced by the Japanese. I believe there were 3 of them, and they were big enough that they carried planes, y'all. 3 aircrafts so that you could surface somewhere and then bomb somebody. Although I believe the Japanese really planned on using them for scouting and whatnot. And after the war, the Americans studied these, and modern submarines are derived from these. It was a big to-do that we captured these and not the Russians. As you can see, this is from the Forum Mini deck. And I want to talk a little bit of Forum Mini for a second before I show you this model, because this model was painted by a fella from the Forum Mini who goes by the name of Weeds Rock 2. And that dude is one of the finest people I have met, probably in my long life. He put up with a lot of grief over the years for the Forum Mini, and the Forum Mini owes him a lot. After the game was discontinued by Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast, whoever it was at that time, the Forum lost a lot of traffic and kind of fell on hard times. But he and a gentleman named Neural Dream kept it going, and there is still a thriving community over there, creating the Forum Mini decks here. And these decks are, the Forum Mini sells them, and I believe that website is old. They're now forum.mini.net. I'll post a link underneath the video. But Weeds, I've known Weeds for a long time. And don't get it twisted, just because he's a friend of DB and his name is Weeds doesn't mean he gets down like that. He actually is from the Midwest, and he is into plants, yo. Like, I believe corn in particular is his specialty. But he's like a published author. He's just a really great, nice, genuine dude. And I met him through the Forum Mini. You know, he was an online acquaintance, buddy, whatever you want to call it. And then through the years, I've actually met him several times. He's been to DB's hometown. We linked up. We went to dinner. We played some games. Met him at Gen Con, I think the first time in 2007, maybe? The very first War at Sea tournament at Gen Con. Yeah. He's just a great dude. And he's so great, in fact, that to keep the Forum Mini going, he does raffles every month, and he gives away prizes. And their prizes are painted ships, usually from the Forum Mini deck, that he paints himself, and then he just gives them away. So, for instance, that's how DB got this I-400. This here is a resin print of the I-400. I believe it's I think it's from Shapeways, and I'm not sure who the actual sculptor, the digital sculptor was for this, but Weeds painted this himself. So I did not paint this, Weeds did. Super cool. Check those planes out. Float planes. He's even got the red meatball on there. I mean, come on. Look at that. This is tiny. Tiny, tiny. I mean, this is a cigarette lighter right here, right? So, like, think about that. Think about that. Tiny, skinny. Got it. Little fragile. This model has, you can see whatever it was printed out of, whatever kind of resin. I've had this for a number of years now. It's actually got a grain to it instead of styrations. It's like a grain. So it's not totally smooth. So it's super cool. Look at that. Trying to get a close-up on that. Look at that. He's got some wake on there and some bow waves, right? Super cool. Here's the stat card. I guess I'll go over that for you guys. So in the game, he costs 18 points. Speed 1, like the majority of submarines. 3 torpedoes in the same square at range 1. 2 at range 2 and 1 at range 3. He's 383 for armor, which is nutty for a submarine with 3 hull points. Submerged shot, almost all submarines have that, even though it's kind of weird because they don't really do that in World War II. It's always, but for gameplay, it needs to be that way. And then he has the sarin attack, which is once per game while he is not under ASW threat. That means guys like destroyers and stuff are not either in his same square or adjacent to him. He can basically launch his planes, and it's a plane that's a 3-6 armor that has a bomb attack of 4. And this also has infiltrator, which means he can deploy anywhere on the map, but if he deploys on the opponent's side, he can't attack on turn 1. But you know what he could do? He could deploy on the opponent's side and then attack you with planes. I would say that that is a valid option. I don't know. Wordsy rules lawyers. What do you think? The phrase attack. It can attack on turn 1. And this is a sarin attack. So what do we think? What do we think? And then on the back of the card, we have the stats, real life stats for it, and then the history of it. So, yeah. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. So, yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know. Weeds Rock 2, a great dude. Does great things for no, return. And over the years, he suffered a lot of grief because he does run the forum, essentially. Him and a few other folks run the forum. And I know I, myself, have given Weeds grief over the years because about things that have happened on the forum. You know, little internet butt-hurtness. Happens to the best of us, right? DB, sometimes, just like you, I get a little angry. But then I come down here in the smoke dungeon and I get out some models and I paint or I play me a game. And then I ain't angry no more. So remember, be good to everybody and do what you feel.